Big fluff.
These things eat data.
Exactly. That's why those servers were being emptied.
Wait a minute. Holy shit. This whole attack is just a big diversion to get those tripods to the data centers. And those tripods are just Trojan horses to get those little bugs into the servers. To get to the data.
Hey everybody, I'm Joel Murphy.
And I'm Andy McIntyre.
And this is Silver Linings Playback, the podcast where we watch maligned movies and we find their silver linings.
And we are wrapping up the month of August. And all month we've been looking at some 90s technological panic movies like The Net and other ones like The Net.
Wow, you've the other two movies were directed by the same guy, Brett Leonard.
Yeah, it was Lawnmower Man and the other one. It's coming to me slowly. Virtuosity. The best one.
Yeah. Your Brett Leonard erasure will not stand on this podcast.
Listen, it's fair. Virtuosity is definitely top third of all the movies we've watched for this podcast, I would say.
Agreed.
Anyways, but we're blasting off into the future now and doing a technological panic movie from the ripe old year of 2025. It is the new richly directed War of the Worlds. And amazingly enough, we have a very special guest to talk about the movie with us and to sort of be here and give his insights. One of the stars of the movie, in fact, the star of the movie, the one and only rap legend Ice Cube. Welcome to the show, Ice, Mr. Cube. I don't know.
Such an honor to have you. We're both big fans.
No, legit, it was a good day. Maybe my favorite song of all time. So it's amazing to have you here. And can you hear us?
I think, yeah, we seem to be having some technical difficulty. We see you.
Yeah,
but,
no, you're on there. Look mean if you can see us. Okay, because I'm like, so you can hear us then.
Yeah, I see. This is where it gets tough because it's like, is he frustrated by the experience or is he in a default?
Is that just how Ice looks?
Yeah. So, okay. Well, hopefully we'll get this squared away. But he is here and we'll check back with him later in the show. And hopefully, I don't think he can hear us, but hopefully he can hear us. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully he has some trenchant insight about the making of this movie. This movie, of course, like we mentioned, directed by Rich Lee, filmed during the pandemic in 2020, and then finally released just a few weeks ago. One of the faster turnarounds we've had from release to appearance on the pod.
Yeah, well, I think our thinking was this, that, we've been dunking on the 90s, which is, I mean, it's fun. We love 90s movies, but there's now enough distance 3 decades later that you look back and you're like, oh, this is what they got right. This is what they got wrong. But the opportunity, this movie being released and being immediately maligned and I'm sorry to say this in front of Ice Cube, who we're both big fans, but immediately getting a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, it just felt right to end the month by jumping ahead and seeing what we could do with a modern tech movie.
Yeah, I think even more impressive than the 0 on Rotten Tomatoes is the 6 Metacritic score.
Yeah, which is, I think sometimes people, they don't understand because like Rotten Tomatoes, it's pretty easy to be in the extreme because it's just, it's an average of thumbs up or thumbs down. Essentially, it's either I liked it or I didn't like it. It's a binary. And so if everyone likes it, you can get 100%. And if everyone dislikes it, you can get a 0. But Metacritic, that's like a grade. That is an average of everyone's score. And it's giving a 0 or a 6, as you said, like an average of 6%.
I think I'd rather get a 0 than a 6.
Yeah, it hurts.
Out of 100?
Yeah, it does feel, and you're a teacher, so I mean, you can verify this, but like, it does feel a little personal if you get a 6.
Yeah, I don't, like, usually 0s are for when kids either cheat or don't do the work. is what the 0 is reserved for. A 6, that's something. Someone's being petty in that instance. What do you think about that 6 score, Ice? Nothing?
Okay.
We'll get him.
He might be mad about it. That's the thing. I can't tell if he's mad at us and the score.
I don't know if he's just in infuriated silence or it's a technical difficulty thing we're having. We'll get it.
But we'll keep checking it back. But no, that does remind me. I think one of my proudest grades that I ever got in high school was actually a 50% on a paper that I wrote. And it was because I was in an AP English class. And we had our senior trip where we went to Disneyland. We took a bus from Maryland to Disneyland, or to Disney World, to Florida. But we, we had this week-long trip, and it was, it's an AP class. So you pretty much are doing like a book a week. And when we got back, we had a test to like on the book that we were supposed to read the week that we were in Disney World. And I made that decision pretty early, as most of us did, to be like, nope. Not reading this book. And so when we got back, we had a test. That's the funny thing is I want to say it was Tess of the Dubervilles because I don't remember reading that book and I remember it was assigned. So that's what I want to say that it was.
Let's pretend it's H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds to make it really.
Or maybe it was H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, but I think I would have done better. But anyway, so our test when we got back, it was the day we got back, is you had to write an essay about an epiphany in what I think was Tess of the Dubervilles, might have been War of the Worlds. And most of the kids that had not read the book, they just like put their heads down or whatever. But I'm like, I'm here for the class period. I got to do something. I wrote an essay about the epiphany that I had where I decided that when I looked back years later, what I would remember is going on my senior trip and enjoying it more than I would remember reading a book. And that while I'm sure it was a great book, that I had to make this personal decision to not read it. And I wrote like whatever the format of the essay was, it was the correct length, all of that. I turned it in. And again, my teacher gave me a 50% out of 100 and said, if I was grading on creativity, I would have given you an A. Unfortunately, it is about this book. But I took that with great pride, especially because it was 50% more than what the other kids who also didn't read the book got.
No, I think, yeah, I would have done the same as a teacher. That I will reward creativity, even if it doesn't meet the criteria of the assignment.
Yeah, and she was great. Miss Smith. Shout out to Miss Smith.
Shout out to Miss Smith.
Yeah.
Did you have a Miss Smith, Ice? Bad memories, I guess, because he still looks mad.
Yeah, he really does. I don't think he likes school.
No. Anyways. So War of the Worlds as a story is in the public domain, which is why this movie was able to get made. And most recently prior to this was 2005 Stephen King version, which I really dislike that movie, but we can talk about that at another point.
But it's not maligned. That's the trick.
It's not maligned.
I don't think that movie's very good either. But it is not maligned. It's obviously been remade a lot. There's the most infamous one is, of course, the Orson Welles radio broadcast that convinced people that an alien invasion was actually happening.
Let's put heavy quotes around that. Convinced people that.
Look, okay, so I think it was real. You think it wasn't. Ice, do you want to weigh in? I think he thinks it was real. Yeah.
I mean, that look says he thinks it was real.
Yeah.
But anyways, that is definitely the most famous iteration. Is it was recreated as a series of radio broadcasts by famed auteur Orson Welles. And there've been other remakes of it throughout the years. I'm sure there's a mockbuster of it too.
Oh yeah, of course. It's like Robin Hood. I mean, it's like all the other things that are in public domain and have some, cachet to that title. Of course, they're going to make a bunch of them. Why wouldn't they? Yeah.
But what makes this one different, in heavy quotes, is that this was all shot essentially through Zoom. Everybody is like being filmed through a front-facing camera. And they edited the tripods and things into real news footage. There isn't a lot of like on location shooting for this, except for maybe the Amazon driver running around.
Yeah, he kind of runs around. Eva Longoria does some amount of.
Yeah. I think Andrea Savage as well.
Yeah, they seem at least on sets. You know, they seem like they went somewhere where they needed more props. But, you know, our guest this week, I think it's fair to say that, you know, for 90% of the time, he is in a chair. He does get up a couple times, which I wondered too, like, again, we're having so much trouble here. And this is such a shame because I'm so excited to have him here. But one of the times you do get up, I did think it was kind of strange. You know, there was a thing that felt like that it was this sort of wink to the audience, but I was confused by it. And maybe you could clarify it, because you trip when one of the aliens is trying to get you and you say, "Move, bitch, get out the way." But that's a ludicrous lyric. You know, that's not one of your songs. So it is a reference to a rap song, but it's not like Anaconda, which we were also big fans of, where you're referencing your own music. So I wondered if you could maybe speak to that a little bit.
Like, were there other takes where you said, "I push rhymes like weight," or yay?
Yeah, or just even like as simple. I mean, it's as simple as, Andy, you kind of set up before, like, "It's not a good day." I think that would have kind of worked.
I guess I did have to use my AK.
Or, I mean, this is not a music reference, but if you had tripped and maybe hit your head and said, "I got knocked the fuck out," like, that also would have been, yeah, that would have been kind of fun.
Yeah. Or like maybe when your character got fired, you could talk about how you didn't have any job, didn't have shit to do.
Yeah. Which also, like, I mean, did you wonder then if that was in the script when you read the script? I feel like if I was in your place, I would kind of feel like maybe they wrote it for Ludacris and then like he passed on it and then they didn't even bother to change the script.
The line. Yeah, that Chris Bridges decided he didn't have the time to make this film. Nothing?
Okay.
All right. Okay.
He's not leaving though. So that's why I don't know what to make it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so to give a little background on the movie, and Ice, feel free to step in and correct anything that we maybe miss up or whatever. But so Ice Cube, your character is Will Radford, a DHS spy overseer, for lack of a better word. But you are, you know, people watching essentially. And your daughter is pregnant. Your famed biologist daughter is pregnant with an Amazon driver's baby. And you have a son who's a good for nothing. And you have a friend that's Eva Longoria. And you have a contact in the FBI that is Randy and Lanny's little sister, Andrea Savage. And then this takes place in the MCU because Phil Coulson is in it.
Yeah, Clark Gregg plays the sort of boss
Briggs,
you know, character.
CIA Director Briggs, I think, is his official title, or NSA Director, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, so, you know, you're doing your DHS work, and then all of a sudden there's a meteor shower, and those meteors actually turn out to be tripods, and then the world's it up. But the difference is, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, as we indicated in the opening clip, they're eating data. That's sort of the new twist on it, is that they're specifically here to attack our data centers, and they absorb the data, and that's how they get more powerful and learn.
Right. And it's a computer virus that ends up bringing them down, as opposed to the flu is, I think, what killed them or the common cold, I think, is what killed them in the Orson Welles book, or the H.G. Wells book.
One of the Welleses, or both of the Welleses, depending
maybe
on how
all
you
the
look
Wells.
At it. Yeah. But, you know, in 2025, and in 2025, those wells have run dry. So you have to kind of jazz it up, and also take an idea that was done 30 years ago in Independence Day. And, you know, but it's still, that's the modern twist. And I understood it, and I thought it made sense. And it also, I think, you know, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We're not quite ready to pivot yet. But it was a nice way to, I think, bring the daughter and her, expertise into the story. There's also, well, you know what? Because we haven't pivoted yet, we can also, and I think it's important to note, and again, I'm so sorry. It is hard, like, seeing your face, but I think that it holds us accountable. But, this movie is made, it's streaming on Amazon. And I think we have to talk about before we pivot, because I think a reason a lot of people are maligning this movie is because that it's kind of a commercial for Amazon. There's a lot of discussion of like, I don't just spy on people's Amazon carts, but then also the big climactic scene where they have this virus and they need to find a way to get it uploaded into the tripods. They literally use an Amazon drone, and the boyfriend who works for Amazon flies it to save the day.
Yeah. That's sort of patently ridiculous. And, and I get it. Ice, you didn't write the movie. But you were there and you committed to it. The other sort of plot twist is that Will Radford is trying to catch this cyber terrorist named the Disruptor, and twist, it's his son.
Yes. Yeah. Big reveal that the sort of anonymous type hacker that we've been seeing the whole time is actually your son in the movie. And then the real twist is that we find out that Clark Gregg has actually caused all of this, because he's launched a new spy network,
Goliath program.
The Goliath program that got the attention of the aliens and brought them here, a beacon to the world, to quote the MCU, which Clark Gregg is also in. But then, like, your character realizes that the government is not being completely honest and teams up with his son to then take down Clark Gregg and to save the day.
Yep. And they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Where to start maligning this movie in full earnest?
Well, I think I want to say that I think a lot of people are obviously going to malign the fact that it is, as you stated, it's this movie that is mostly people looking into screens. It's a lot of stock footage. And I'm going to come out kind of, sideways a little bit and say that, like, while I didn't always think it worked, I think I kind of enjoyed the swing of that I thought if that could have worked, that would have been a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I appreciated the novelty of it.
Yes.
I would say I think more than I appreciated the idea more than the execution is maybe a good way to put it. But I get why, someone could argue that it's lazy filmmaking. I don't know that I would make that argument myself. One, because Ice Cube is staring daggers into me.
Yeah.
Are you? No. But two, just I don't know. Like, it didn't bother me that much as it could have. So yeah, I would say like not necessarily maligning, because this movie is obviously made on a relatively micro budget, given that there is a fair amount of big name cast members. But I do want to talk about the tripods a little bit. Should we go there next?
Yeah. Yeah, let's go to the tripod.
They do look superimposed on all the shots that they're in. They don't look like they're part of any of the worlds that they're living in, for one. But that, for whatever reason, like that was like, whatever, that is what it is. It shouldn't have bugged me as much as it did, but the fact that they couldn't decide how to make the tripods move, so they just walked on two legs with the third leg dragging behind, bugged the shit out of me.
I think that's fair.
Like, it just is like, what? I don't know, that I just couldn't. I'm usually not nitpicky that way in my evaluation of movies, but for whatever reason, it just irked me so much that they're just literally walking not that differently from like the ATST walkers in Star Wars, just with a third leg dragging behind.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about third legs dragging behind, Ice? No?
Okay.
Jimmy runs deep.
We're going to get him.
So deep.
I mean,
we'll get him.
Yeah.
So deep, put her ass to sleep. No, nothing.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, no, that was, I'd like, just, limited special effects budget, sure, whatever. But they could have made something that moved like it was on three legs.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It just bugged the hell out of me. Yeah, and I will say, like, I think a 6 on Metacritic is a little unfair for this.
Oh, no, I mean, we talk about it a lot. We watch a lot of bad movies, and I'm not, you know, and I'm sorry to say this, but I don't think this is a good movie.
No.
But I also don't think it's even close to the worst. Like, I don't think, like, I think that everyone wants to dunk on it. I think because of the Amazon factor, I think is definitely going to make people root against it. And, you know, it's that feeling of this was made cheaply. I think there are accusations that people are going to make that this is a cash grab. And I understand that. But I think that sometimes people it becomes fun to pile on to a movie like this. They didn't release the trailer ahead of time. You know, they kind of knew
they kind of shadow dropped it.
Yeah. And so I think people were looking it's like when we did Ishtar or something like that. I think sometimes people just have, you know, they're ready to dunk on a movie. And it's like the movie's bad. And the same with Ishtar, but like they're not as bad as the narrative becomes.
But it feels like some of those reviews were pre-written like obituaries a little bit.
Yeah, which,
I think that's the case for this.
And I think I've talked about this before on the show, but I'll say it again. I mean, I used to cover movies. I used to go to screenings, like press screenings. And yes, like that's real. You know, sometimes it's like you could hear guys pre-complaining about movies before they started that were like excited to dislike a movie.
Yeah. So I think that, like, I'm not going to defend this movie as being good, but it's not a 0. But I will say that while I'm watching it, I did start to deeply introspect and think, how broken is my brain that I'm not hating this?
Oh, yeah. I do think, I mean, we always talk about, you know, a 90-minute movie is really going to earn some love from us just out of the start. So
yeah. Oh, for sure.
It didn't feel long, and I think it moves along a lot. I also give the movie credit because while it is people staring at screens, it does its best not to look static, you know, like it is kind of moving around. But I will say, while else, you know, kind of complimented in that regard, and Isa would love it if you would just jump in here and maybe offer some insight. But, you know, it kind of felt like, you know, they paid, and I hope good money to get you, but that maybe they didn't have the stars for a long time. And so because of that, you know, they were sort of just filming what they could get, maybe had you for like a day or two on the set, and you were maybe cold reading some of those lines, and they're reusing some of the same reaction shots. Would you say that's fair to say that your reaction was being looped at times, or we were seeing the same
like
reaction? Yeah, like I feel like I saw that a number of times. Like it was.
Yeah, and it's a good look. I mean, you know, Ice Cube, I would definitely argue that you have one of the best intense stares in the business. Yeah, like exactly like that. Yeah, perfect. Mm-hmm. Wow, like talk about being able to turn it on command. That is, again, it's an honor to have you here. It's really amazing. But yeah, it definitely felt like Gregg took a break from his run to film content for this.
Oh, yeah, it definitely. I think he was also making some money as a Peloton instructor during the pandemic.
It seemed like it. Yeah.
Maybe very thought possible. He could do both. Yeah.
Yeah. And Eva Longoria, again, I don't know that she left her house to do this.
But she went around her house. I think
she did go to different rooms.
Yeah. And they sent her a box
not
of props.
Unlike, it did somewhat recreate the vibes of like the pandemic episodes of Parks and Rec and all the other reunion shows that they did. There was some of that feeling, a little bit of that feeling.
There's a little bit of a 2020 War of the Worlds table read feel to the endeavor. Yeah.
One thing, Ice Cube, I've got to ask this. Is that your zip up cardigan, or was that an outfit that they picked out for you? Because I don't know. It just seemed weird to see Ice Cube dressed like a grandpa, even though I know you actually are a grandpa. But
well, and also, I mean, I have to point out, like, and this could be a case of taking wardrobe home, but it kind of, if Gregg was wrong, it seems like you're wearing it right now.
Right now, that's wow. Or was it just like you figured out, well, I had on for the movie, I'll give these guys a treat and wear the costume from the movie, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Okay.
It
also is kind of, it seems like he's in the same room, so I'm also kind of suspicious. Is it just film it at his house?
Or is it the same like green screen filter that he put on in the background?
That's true. Yeah, we have green screen filters, so
yeah. Because you can, I hate to like, listen, some of the best movies have some camera mistakes, like the reflection of the Cobra in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but you can see the reflection of the green screen in your glasses in more than a few shots.
Yeah, you definitely can.
But that type of stuff doesn't really bother me. Genuinely, I'm not even trying to be nice because you're here staring daggers into us, Mr. Cube. But no, like, yeah, this movie was. I have to guess this movie was made as cheaply as it possibly could be. That this was. I'm surprised it took as long to get out into the world as it did, though. I'm curious about the reasoning for that, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I wonder if it was as simple as, just it's a lot of stock footage and a lot of assembled footage. And as you talked about, sort of superimposing. So I actually feel like they probably had everything they were going to get from the actors long ago. And then it was just about devoting the resources to like filming what was left. But again, you correct us if we're wrong. But I think that was probably the goal there, and I do think that hurts this movie because I actually, as you talked about, we're all a little, I think maybe brain fogged from 2020 and have rightfully blocked it out. But there were so many things like that. There were like the Parks and Rec table read and Community was doing table reads and like these reunions and people were getting together on Zoom because they had all this time. I think if they could have gotten this out at the time, we would have been so happy to have a new movie to watch that I think we might have judged it a little kinder.
Maybe it wouldn't have been judged as harshly.
Yeah, I think it's like you take 5 years to release this movie and then, well, why did it take 5 years to release this movie?
Like, was it just sitting on a shelf? Was it actually being worked on? Did they make it say, maybe we won't release this, and then decide recently, let's get that out there. Like what was the procedure?
Yeah, I could also believe that the Amazon stuff was added, that was like reshoots. Because I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know if Ice Cube like really talks about Amazon, like, or mentions it. If that's just mentioned by.
I'm trying to remember, and I can't think. But. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this movie's pretty silly. It's very cliched. If you don't have anything else, I think I could probably pivot.
Yeah, I think Ice. No. Okay. I think we can pivot.
Let's pivot. Thoughts on our pivot interstitial?
I kind of saw him bobbing his head.
He was nodding a little bit. Dude. And again, shout out to Charlie Gongman. His still supporting his pregnant wife, so that's good.
She's pretty far along at this
she's
point.
She's like somewhere like end of the second trimester, approaching the third, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, shout out to Charlie and his wife, also named Charlie. Weirdly enough, is one of those couples, but
spelled different. But
yeah,
same name.
It is Charles and Charlene, but they both go by Charlie. But either way,
she just has an I though, CHARLI.
Right, and he's CHARLIE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know, like the movie was paced pretty well. Like it moved along, it took a different swing at the idea of the War of the Worlds. And I found that to be, we kind of talked about it already. And I mean, again, we talked about it at the top, but I'm such a huge Ice Cube fan.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, look, I would say this even if, we weren't looking at him right now, but like always a silver lining. I'm pretty sure if you go back and listen to when we did Anaconda, like the huge silver lining, great screen presence, one of my favorite actors to see pop up in things. So much fun and a lot of value added to a character that is a guy just on a screen the whole time, which is tough to make interesting. And I thought seeing all the reactions and the, like genuine concern, I thought it was a good performance. Like sincerely, I did really enjoy it. And
I would say more so than even some of the other, because I like Eva Longoria. I think she does. I enjoy her as an actress. A big Clark Gregg fan. I like him in pretty much I thought he was great as Agent Coulson, like an iconic, necessary part of Phase 1 of the MCU. But I thought Ice Cube having to carry the movie by literally seeing just what we're seeing on this podcast, that's a big ask. Yeah.
And some would say he's carrying the podcast, even with the technical difficulties.
He's riveting. He's a riveting presence. I can't take my eyes off of him. To see if he's actually connecting or if it's still having technical difficulty. I can't even tell at this, but like sometimes the screen's frozen, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell. I also just like, is he mad at us? That's what I really can't tell.
I don't know that you can tell one way or another at any point. Even if if we were all in a room together, I don't know that we'd know if Ice Cube was mad at us or not.
No. But no, I think the performance is really good. The other thing I will say, because you kind of talked in general about this approach to this story, I think, execution specific things aside, I did like this idea of this character being the parallels between he does surveillance for a living for the government, sort of unquestioningly, but also is unable to stop spying on his own children. And then that becomes a really interesting character study and a really interesting parallel of he needs to learn to let go of watching his kids because they are now grown up and can take care of themselves. Right. And he's holding on too tightly and his spying is pushing them away. And that dovetails with he also needs to stop spying on all of us for the government because that's bad. And it's an interesting thing. And I think a testament to Ice Cube that this character is likable, because I think you shouldn't like him in the beginning. And I liked
he is
that
kind of
character
a villainous character with his actions. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it made a rewarding character arc. And I sincerely liked the ending being, that he does leak everything, but still could keep his job and then gets to make the decision to be like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to help people.
That there's a new benevolence surveillance protocol. And he's like, nope, no such thing. I don't buy it.
Yeah.
So that all makes sense. I appreciated Jim Meskimen, who is a fantastic character actor and impressionist, as the president. That made me smile.
He was a good president. Yeah, that was fun.
He probably has been most famous as a George W. Bush impersonator. But him and Ross Marquand and a few other people, they do a series of YouTube videos about like the art of impressions and like how they create their impressions, and some pretty interesting content. But they also do a series of micro impressions where it's like something really small, like Liam Neeson realizing there's too many olives in his martini. Like it's like literally that like micro of an impression. And those are very funny videos.
That's pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I as a comedic actor and just as a comedic impressionist, I'm a big Jim Meskimen fan. So it was nice to see him in that. So that was a nice pop up for me. So that I would unquestionably give that a silver lining.
Yeah. No, that's great. I also, I mean, I want to give a silver lining. I think this is unintentional, but I think it ended up being kind of funny that, we talked in the first half about Amazon. This is kind of a commercial for Amazon. Their name dropped a lot. I think it's still hilarious that in Amazon's own self-promotional apocalyptic alien invasion movie, that the guy still just has to do his job at Amazon. Like, I found that really funny, sincerely.
Some unintentional comedy there.
Yeah, that
or
it's like because
maybe intentional subversion, perhaps.
No, I don't even think they thought about it. My take is that it didn't occur to them that he wouldn't work. Well, you'd still have to go into work, you know.
Yeah, you got to even if there's an alien invasion, you got to pee in bottles and deliver your stuff.
Yeah, so I did find that really funny that he didn't get to clock out for the alien invasion. That it's all done on the clock.
That said, Amazon, if you want to sponsor our podcast, I think it's great that you find dedicated employees willing to go the extra mile to make sure that people get the packages they so rightfully deserve, that they paid for with their hard-earned money.
And I'll just say, I think your CEO was really good in Superman. I really enjoyed him. You know, I think he was trying to keep the world safe, you know, and you know, was doing the best he could. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, I'm getting word. That was actually Nicholas Hoult. That wasn't Jeff Bezos.
But I thought that, like, as a Jeff Bezos analog, I thought that Nicholas Hoult did a good job, like, because that's how Jeff would, if he was required to keep the world safe, as he often still wants to do. That's what he would do.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, Jeff, it's really a testament to you and the hard work that you do that, you know, you just got married and you don't have any friends because of how much time you devoted to work. So you had to invite celebrities.
Yeah, you know, it's again, it just shows your commitment to having a 64% market share for online purchases and deliveries.
Mm-hmm.
Second place is 6%.
That seems good. That seems fine.
Yeah, eBay is second with 6% of all online transactions.
Yeah, it's good that this movie taught us the government's bad, but you're good.
But entrepreneurs are the real saviors and the real heroes of this country.
Yeah.
Both could be true. I don't know what I'm saying. Billionaires shouldn't exist.
Billionaires shouldn't exist. Also, movies shouldn't heroically end with people calling in drone strikes. That's my hot take.
You know what? I'm not going to disagree with that either. Yeah. Also, I mean, just a silver lining, War of the Worlds is a fantastic story.
It is. And there's a reason that it is endured the way it has. It's interesting to see all the adaptations because I do think there's a really clean ending to the original, this idea, because it does make sense. Like it's an interesting science fiction, especially for the time, approach to the story that, like, well, these aliens are more powerful than us and we don't really have the means to stop them. So what stops them? They're not inoculated against our diseases, which is interesting. That's a really fascinating way to go with it. And I think there's a reason that that's worked, you know.
Yeah. I know that we have pivoted, but the effectiveness of conventional weapons on the tripods kind of undermined that notion in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little all over the place with the invasion itself. Like,
but War of the Worlds, if you haven't listened to the Orson Welles, and this encourages you to, anyone that hasn't listened to the Orson Welles, if it encourages people to do that, I think that's an automatic silver lining, because that is an important piece of American media history. Whether it actually convinced people that there was an invasion or people just found it such riveting radio that they fell in love with it, you know, whichever it is, it's an incredibly important piece of media and you know, the power of mass media and storytelling and all that. And then the H.G. Wells book is great. It's like 85 pages.
Yeah.
It's so short.
Also, to be clear, we're still 2-1, right? That it was real and people believed it, right?
Well, maybe.
Okay.
But no, like it. And again, for all our listeners out there, if you haven't done that, check out the Orson Welles thing. It's really phenomenal. You know, like it was almost like he invented podcasting with recording these fictional content that could just be listened to and not seen.
Man, I'm a big Orson Welles guy in general, but God, he would have loved podcasting. He would have been so good at it.
Loved the shit out of pod. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Just Orson Welles in the 70s was 5 decades ahead of Smartless. Like, are you kidding me? Watch him on the Tonight Show. Like, that man knew how to hang out and just BS about celebrity stuff.
You know, he would have had You know what? If Orson Welles was around today, we wouldn't have Joe Rogan because he would have cornered the market. And that's also, a silver lining.
Would have cornered the market and also would have destroyed Joe Rogan with one like withering, like just absolutely devastating, insightful remark where he would have been like, what's the fighting guy?
The fighting thumb? That guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had opinions. He would have just said that and it would have been like the end.
Yeah, no. God, Orson Welles would have made such a great podcast.
Yeah, he really would have.
Now what I want to do, there's a really great Orson Welles biopic with Liev Schreiber playing Orson Welles. So now I want to do like Man Out of Time. Orson Welles gets, teleported into the present day and starts a podcast. I want to make that movie.
Also, is it Maurice LaMarche, right? Is that his name? Is that who does it?
Yeah, Maurice LaMarche, a lot of his voices were, and like Brain was an Orson Welles impression.
But that's what I'm saying is like, he's the guy. You just get him to, because, he did Brain, which is obviously just Orson Welles. But he also, when it was, what's his name?
Critic?
Well, he also did The Critic, but I'm blanking on his name from Full Metal Jacket.
R. Lee Ermey? Stanley Kubrick? Oh, Vincent D'Onofrio?
D'Onofrio played Orson Welles. Maurice LaMarche dubbed the voice. And I think Ed Wood is what I'm thinking of.
I think you might be right about that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's actually his voice and not D'Onofrio's voice.
Because D'Onofrio does bear a resemblance to Orson Welles. Objectively. But
doesn't sound like him. Yeah. If you want a guy who really looks like 70s Orson Welles now, it's actually the guy from Severance that played the villain in season 2 of Severance. He like really has an Orson Welles vibe.
He has a 70s Orson Welles vibe.
He's Icelandic, so that does put a hick. But I think him with Maurice
LaMarche's voice.
And now we're cooking.
Listen. And just recording podcasts, taking on the manosphere and the Rogan verse. I think all of that.
And listen to that frozen peas commercial if you want to know how good that man could do an ad read on a podcast.
Oh my God. Could you imagine him talking about purple mattresses or Hello Fresh? Forget about it.
We lost him too soon.
He was a man ahead of his time in so many senses of the word. Who knew how far ahead of time he was for podcasting?
It's a shame that Transformers movie killed him.
Yeah. That playing Unicron was the death of him.
Anyway, I think we did it.
Ice, would you agree?
All right.
Well, Nick Cage month next, baby.
Hey, look, even though the technical difficulties were, not ideal, today was a good day.
Yay!
Silver Linings Playback is a production of HoboTrashcan.com. If you enjoyed the show, please rate or review it on Apple Podcasts. Hear more great shows on the Peak Sloth Podcast Network.